Hey man, what up man? What's going on YouTube? Hey, we're back with another NBA best bets for January 17th. We got a 9-game NBA slate, man. So we're going to go over every single game. I'm going to give you either a pick or a lean. I got two best bets in this video. Let's get right into it. But first, let's get to the recap of yesterday. Bring out the brooms because we went 4-0 yesterday. Absolutely smacked, man. Now, some of these were sweat-free. De'Aaron Fox, under, absolutely cash. Lou Dort, over 15.5 PRAs, and laddered it up in the VIP, over 19.5 PRAs. Cash them, and Thunder absolutely blow out the Cavs. We're up for the week, up for the year. We're absolutely smacking right now. Let's do it again today. Let's hop right into this first game, man, between the Magic and the Boston Celtics. My Celtics here. Big spread, man. Minus 12.5. In my eyes, almost the spread is telling you something here. The books are telling you something. I don't know, man. I think everyone right here is going to want to jump to the Magic, in my opinion. With how the Celtics have been looking over the last 5 games, we all know recency bias is a big thing. In my opinion, I am not huge on the Magic today. I could still see the Celtics here. If they hit their three-pointers, man, they could go out there and blow out the Magic by 30. Really, the Magic, you have to have Paolo Banchero today drop probably 30 points today for them to stay in this game, in my opinion. So I'm not jumping on the spread either side here. For the total being 211 and the spread being over 10 points, I don't love the Celtics here, but I also think Celtics could blow them out today. If you're looking Magic or the Celtics last 10 games, their net rating, they're still third best in the NBA. Over the last 5 games, they dropped down to like 23rd. So if you are looking over the last 5 games, Celtics net rating hasn't been that great. Magic, I don't think they're going to have enough scoring to stay in this game, especially if that Celtics team gets hot. You all know how that Celtics team can shoot. So I think taking a spread either one on this game is a little scary. Total, don't love it because Celtics could shoot absolutely crazy from 3. Talking about some player props in this game, some of my favorite player props. I still feel like Paolo Banchero, RA, if you like his points, rock with it, man. But his RA today, I'm looking at it right now, 10.5. It's a little juicy. I would really try to grab it at 10.5 if you can get it like below minus 130, but it's not looking like it is there anymore. For that Boston side, because really on that Magic side, I don't like anybody. I don't trust Wendell Carter, even though he has had big games versus Kristaps and versus the Celtics in the past. Wendell Carter, I'm pointing him out, has had good games versus Celtics. Do I trust him at all this year? No, but last game did play over 30 minutes, and they're still going to be without Goga Biazza. So if he is out, Wendell Carter could step in for another good game there. I just don't trust him enough. Cole Anthony, another guy who's been playing some bigger minutes for that Magic team, even had some games dropping 20 points. I don't trust him. Celtics, Jason Tatum, probably the guy I like the most in this game. And honestly, it's probably just his points. Now, Jason Tatum and me over the last 2 or 3 years, betting on him hasn't been the greatest. He has landed on the hook for me a lot. Now, this year, I think I'm 2-1 on his props so far this year. He hasn't burned me yet so far this year, besides the first time I bet on him, which was like maybe the 4th or 5th game of the season. So I don't bet on him a lot, but if you're looking off past matchups versus the Magic, he's crushed. He's dropped 28, 30 points, decent amount of games, and a lot of Celtics wins. He's always dropping 20 points. I think he's went under 20 points like 3 times this year. So if you think the Celtics win, you could get a little creative today. Jason Tatum, 20 points or 25, you want to take it there. And Celtics money line, if you trust them there. I don't trust them on the spread, but hey, that's just kind of how I feel there. Not in love with any props in that game. Another couple players to point out for Boston, Derek White's props are very low. So if you're a believer in the Celtics, Derek White's props are very low. I lean his over RA the most, and then if you trust Derek White to hit some shots, I lean his over PRA because his point line's pretty low today. Drew Holiday, assists, I'd be staying away from for Drew Holiday. If you look past couple games versus the Magic, he's had 0 assists the last 2 games versus the Magic. Now, is that a little unlucky? Possibly. But his rebounds, he's gotten his rebounds, his points. It's Drew Holiday. You've seen him this year. Some games doesn't get up the volume. Some games does. I took Drew Holiday, and we cashed on his PRA, or points, against the Raptors last game. A lot of the same reasoning to why I liked him last game is it applies to this game. If you think this game's going to be a blowout, and blowouts of even 10, 12 points or more, Drew Holiday's hit that line. So if you like his points today, it's a little bit of a riskier play because that total is very low. That could be a lower scoring game, but also, I'm going to say it one more time before we move on. It's the Celtics, man. They could shoot crazy. So just be careful of that game. The second game, we're moving on to the Timberwolves at the Knicks, and I like this game a little bit more because I think the Timberwolves could sneak out a dub here or at least cover. I do lean that Timberwolves side here at plus 4.5, and I would kind of wait Last night it was around 3.5. I think that line could even maybe move to, I'm hoping for a 5.5. I lean the Timberwolves there. I even lean them on the money line, but I more lean them on the spread. I think this game's going to be close. Earlier this year, Knicks blew them out. Karl-Anthony Towns had a huge game, like 30 points, 20 rebounds. I do lean Karl-Anthony Towns probably rebounds and assists over still. But for that Timberwolves side, Julius Randle revenge narrative. If you like his spot here, he had a good game game earlier this year versus the Knicks. If you like him here, rock with him. I think he might try to push things too much here in New York. Returning to New York, I think he could try to. Honestly, I lean Julius Randle over turnovers. That's kind of what I think. And I don't ever take turnover props, but I think he could try to do a little too much. I think Anthony Edwards to have a big game. I think he's going to step in there. Last game versus the Knicks scored less than 20 points. He did have like 5 rebounds, 7 assists, but I think Anthony Edwards absolutely smacks in this game. And that brings us to our first bet, which is Anthony Edwards over 24.5 points. I think he has a good game here. Last game in New York, scored 35 points. And if you are looking, man, over the last 10 games, the Knicks are allowing opponents to shoot 39% from three. I think Anthony Edwards, he's getting up a lot of volume from three. I think he gets up a decent amount of shots from there. Also, Knicks, over the last couple games here, they are allowing the 3rd most points in the paint over the last 5 games. So recency bias over the last 5 games, Knicks over the last 5 games, allowing the 3rd most points in the paint, or 3rd or 4th. So they're getting smoked in the paint. If you are looking, last couple high usage players versus this Knicks team, Tyrese Maxey, Cade Cunningham, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander twice, Levine and Kobe White all scored 30-plus points versus the Knicks over the last 10 games. You even had Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson drop 25-plus points. Hell, you even had Cole Anthony score 24 points versus this Knicks team. So I think Anthony Edwards here, as long as he doesn't go out there and shoot 1 for 10 from 3 tonight, I love his over 24.5 points. And if you're asking me, would I take it up to 25.5? Hell yeah, I would. So let's move on right to the next game then, because that is my first best bet was Anthony Edwards. This next game, Charlotte Hornets versus the Chicago Bulls. Very high total. I don't trust this total. That's the first thing that's popping off the page to me. I do lean the Bulls. I don't trust the Hornets. I don't care if they just beat the Jazz. I don't care. I don't even care if the Bulls sit Kobe White, Josh Giddey, and I don't think any of those guys are even injured. But if they sit those guys, I still lean the Bulls. Like, that's how much I don't trust this Hornets team. I lean the under. Now, I do got to say, some of these guys that have faced up, like the Hornets players, they've had good games versus the Bulls. Like Miles Bridges, key name to point out there, he has always balled out versus the Bulls. 20-plus points, 8-plus rebounds, 7-plus rebounds, 4-plus assists. Like Miles Bridges, if you like him today, go check out his game logs versus the Bulls. He balls out. I think he's going to be a very popular pick today. I think a lot of people are going to be on him. LaMelo, you already know what I'm going to say. The volume's crazy. If I'm not mistaken, Brandon Miller is questionable in this game, last I saw, unless if an injury report has came out early this morning before I started this video. Last I saw, he was questionable. I don't know if I really trust him. I think Miles Bridges probably would be my favorite, but like I said, I think it's going to be a very popular guy today, to where I kind of don't like being on those guys that are very popular plays, if you know what I'm saying. Some guys looking out here for the Bulls, Zach LaVine, very high points line at 27.5, and I only say that because if you are looking Zach LaVine versus the Hornets, hasn't had the greatest games versus the Hornets in the past, has a lot of games scoring 20 or less points versus the Hornets. Right now, though, I don't want to go against Zach LaVine. I think he's balling. He's getting to the rim a lot. He's finishing around the rim at a very high percentage, like 80, 85%, 90% or better at the rim. So I don't want to go against him right now. His volume's off the charts. Another guy to point out, which I pointed him out past couple of videos, Josh Giddey, his RA at home has been money. Money, money, money. His points today at 11.5, kind of low. That's a lower Josh Giddey point line. I lean Josh Giddey over PRA. Now, Josh Giddey, not my favorite guy to back overs on sometimes, but I would probably be leaning him over the most for the Bulls. And for the Hornets, probably Miles Bridges. But like I said, very popular play today. I'm sure of it. So in that game, I lean the Bulls, lean the under, and then those little player prop leans there, but nothing crazy in that game that I'm like, I'm laying my own stuff, laying my own money on it. Next game, Denver Nuggets versus the Miami Heat. Denver Nuggets here, I don't know how they're underdogs. I don't know how they're underdogs, man. Over the last 5-10 games, they have been picking it up. Showing why they're a championship contender. The Miami Heat, man, first game back with Jimmy Butler. Hell no, I do not like the Heat. First game back with Jimmy Butler, I would not be surprised today. If there's a little sideline spat today with Jimmy Butler, I would not be surprised. Now, does that rile up the Heat, or does that just have the Heat crumble? In my opinion, I like the Nuggets, and that's about it. Now, I think a lot of people are probably going to like the Nuggets too, but that spread opened up last night like plus 3.5 for the Nuggets. They were underdogs like plus 3.5. Now they're plus 1.5. It's almost a pick 'em. I lean the Nuggets there, man. Nikola Jokic, He's always balled out versus Bam Adebayo, having usually good RA games. Past game versus the earlier this year, he dropped like 30 points, triple double, Nikola Jokic type things. I would probably lean all of his overs, to be honest with you. But my favorite Nuggets player, I don't see a line out for him yet. We did take Michael Porter Jr. last game, and you guys know he burned us. He did not get up a lot of volume. Nuggets got blown out by who'd they get blown out by? The Rockets. In this game, I think Nuggets play a little bit more competitive, and Michael Porter Jr. has usually always had good games versus the Heat. Heat aren't a great three-point defensive team. They're not great versus spot-up shooters. I think Michael Porter could have a game there, but I'm waiting for his line to come out. I don't know what's going on. There's no line there. So maybe there's an injury on the brink there. But another guy to point out for the Nuggets that I do like today, Russell Westbrook, man. Depending on what his lines are today, I lean his PRA over, his RA over. Just we got to wait and see what his lines are. His lines could be very high today, and to the point where I'm like, those are too high. I don't want to take them. So if Michael Porter Jr.'s points today is around 15, 16 and a half, I lean that over. If Russell Westbrook today's like RA is around, trying to think right now of the number I want, about 14, 15 and a half, and I can't think of it off the top of my head what I would really want there. I lean his over because I think Russell Westbrook could have a game getting 6 rebounds, 8 assists. So in that 13 and a half to 15 and a half area, it'd have me questioning it, maybe looking around to see if I really, really love it. But Michael Porter Jr. is my number one play there. If his line comes out around 15, 16 and a half points, that is what I really like there. Moving on to the next game here, we got the Utah Jazz versus the New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans Pelicans, huge favorites here, and for good reason, man. Jazz without everybody. They are without everybody, man. No Lauri Markkanen, no Johnny Juzang, no John Collins, no Jordan Clarkson. Those guys have been out. It's basically going to be Colin Sexton and Keontae George. That's who it's going to be, man. Now, Jazz, they've been playing competitive with some teams. I know they did just lose to the Hornets, but they were up a lot of that game. But I don't love seeing the Pelicans minus 11 and a half, 12-point favorites here. I do really think the New Orleans Pelicans win this game. I really, really do. The spread, though, for both these teams only having 10 wins on the season, and for the Pelicans to be almost 12-point favorites is crazy to me. Now, I get it because New Orleans Pelicans over the last 5 or so games here, they've won 3 of their last 4. Beat the Mavs, beat the Bulls, lost to the Celtics by 1 in Boston, which Boston over the last 5 games hasn't looked the greatest, and then beat the 76ers. I don't trust the Pelicans this big of a favorite. Now, that being said, I definitely don't like the Jazz here. I still would lean the Pelicans, even on that big spread. I still would, but I don't love it. Not a very high confidence play. Now, some guys to point out that I don't mind here. Colin Sexton, I don't mind his points today. I would lean his over 22.5 points. Zion Williamson, his points line today is very, very high. Very, very high. Saying that because he's only scored 22 points, 16 and 21 in his 3 games since back from injury. Now, against the Jazz, off past game logs, Zion has feasted on RA. Now, I did not take this play last night. His assist line opened up last night at 4.5 at plus 110 on Bet365. If you look now, his assist line 4.5 at like minus 160. You could be like, hey, you missed out on a lot of CLV. Well, yeah, you're right. I did. But also, this is by far the most popular play on the board today from any player prop. Everyone is on Zion over. So I knew that was probably going to happen. That's why I stayed away from it, because I really do think DeJounte Murray assist is just as good of a look at 7.5. If he's going to play today, which I know he's questionable right now or probable, DeJounte Murray 7.5 assists is probably my strongest lean in that game. Zion being second, if you're like, hey, I don't care about a lot of people being on it, I still really like it. His assist chances are showing you that, hey, Zion, last 2 or 3 games, about 18 assist chances. He had a lot of assists versus that Bulls team, so a lot of those assist chances came in that one game if you're looking on the average over the last 3. But DeJounte Murray, man, his assist chances are right up there with Zion, pretty dang close. So, and in this spot against the Jazz, I like DeJounte Murray there. I like that spot now. Pelicans, they're a really bad team in transition. Defensively wise, they're terrible in transition. They are not a good transition team. But the Jazz, with their injuries, they are a terrible offensive transition team. So what the Pelicans are bad on defense, the Jazz kind of aren't very good at. So that's why I lean the Pelicans. That's why I think they could blow them out here. I could see Zion dropping 30. I even think, if you want me to be honest with you, I could see Zion even dropping a triple-double today. There's no Walker Kessler there. He's out too. He is going to be out for the Jazz. So that's their rim defender. I forgot to point him out. He's going to be out. I think Zion could drop a triple-double today. I don't know what those odds would be off right here. I could go check for you, but plus 2,800, I'm not going to lie. I think I want to sprinkle like 0.1 units on it, but I'm not going to. But I'm just pointing it out to you guys. If you are you like playing some very high risk plays with some value there, I think, hey, he could have a game there. I really do think he could. Even DeJounte Murray triple double. I think one of those guys could drop a triple double today versus the Jazz. That's how I'm feeling. So not on anything officially in that game, but there are some solid plays there with some solid leans there. We have 4 more games to go over, the next one being the Toronto Raptors at the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee Bucks huge favorites here for good reason. The Raptors over their last 5 to 7 road games has been a league worst. They are terrible, man. Their defensive rating is horrible. They are like 129.7 defensive rating. The next worst is the Wizards at 121. Like, Raptors defense on the road has been horrible. Now, I lean the Bucks here. Any props you're asking me about, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think this game could be 140 to 110 later. I think this game could be a 130 to 115. Like, I think this game could be a blowout. I think obviously Giannis has high point lines, but 29.5, if he gets up his shot volume, he's going to fly over that. I think his assist is probably my favorite play just because he's been hitting that a lot this year. Damian Lillard has always had good games versus the Raptors. Seems like he's always hitting his points line. So somebody I would lean over there on. Scotty Barnes, his point line today at 21.5. It's honestly spot on. Like, if you liked Scotty Barnes, I would have hoped his point line would have been like 19.5 to where all he had to do is score 20. That's kind of where my head's at with it. So a little high there. One Raptors player I'm going to point out that I'd actually lean in over on is RJ Barrett. I want to see what this line's out right now. 5.5 rebounds. Now it is at minus 140. Or you could take it at 6.5 at plus odds. I lean those overs. If you want to lay the juice at minus 140, at 5.5, I would lay it. If you want to take it at 6.5 at plus odds, I would take that. I lean those overs pretty heavy there. Now, if you are looking, last about 5 games, he's only hit that once. Now, he's hit 5.5 twice over the last 5, but hitting 6.5 only once over the last 5. If that scares you a little bit, stay away from it. But against the Bucks, against Giannis, he's always in there grabbing boards, always seems to be grabbing 6-7 boards, especially since he's joined the Raptors versus the Bucks. So somebody to point out there. But we are going to get into the second best bet here, man, and it is going to be the over. I like the over in this game. I think this game could fly over, man. Over 229.5, and I really, really like the spot there for this over because Raptors over the last 5-10 games, their road defense has been absolutely horrible, and both these teams finish at the rim at a pretty good rate. I love the over in this game. Over 229. I don't have a lot of reasoning besides Raptors defense is horrible. Bucks at home, I think they put up a lot of points, and I think the Raptors can halfway hang with them, scoring 110 points there. Bucks still allowing opponents to shoot 35% or better from 3 over the last 10 games. So I still think the Raptors can hang in there within 20 points, 110 to 125 type game. I love the over 229 in that one. Third to last game is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are playing on a back-to-back. They just smoked the Cavs yesterday, and we took the Thunder, so let's go. But they're facing off versus the Mavs now. I don't love this game. There weren't a lot of props out at the time that I'm making this video, or at least last night when I was checking this game. I'm kind of staying away from the Thunder. I think I took all my Thunder props yesterday. I took the Thunder money line. I also took Lou Dort over PRAs. In this game, man, I'm not in love with anything in this game. I'm kind of staying away from it. Thunder on a back-to-back. I'm not big on backing teams on a back-to-back. And Mavs, they have shown up in this spot versus the Thunder, but a lot of those games, Luka and Kyrie were both playing. Kyrie, I'm pretty sure, is still questionable. Maybe he's moved to probable since this morning, but I still think the Thunder win that game 100%. I still think they win, but I would maybe be leaning it under, but I'm not in love with this game, man, so I'm not going to sit here and waste too much time on it. If you're asking about some props, you kind of already know how I feel about Shea and those guys. Jalen Williams' point line still at 19.5. It's kind of low for him. I think he could score around that 20-plus easy today. So maybe Jalen Williams over points would probably be my favorite there, but not in love with anything in that game, man. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I just stared at this game for an hour today, checking up a bunch of stats. I really didn't. There was other games I looked at a lot more. That is probably one that I'm staying away from just because Thunder on a back-to-back and that Mavs team, a lot of injuries going in and out of that lineup right now with Kyrie and them, and I don't know if Kyrie's going to play. So staying away from it. Moving on to the next game, Memphis Grizzlies versus the San Antonio Spurs. Now, last game, they literally just played like 2 nights ago in San Antonio. Tonight's game is in San Antonio. San Antonio, I did lean them. Now, that game, if I'm not mistaken, they were leading at half, and then the Grizzlies just come out second half, flying, scoring, doing what the Grizzlies do, man. You're going to hear me say it. A lot of the same props that I liked the first time they faced, like 2 nights ago, are going to be the same props I like probably tonight. Now, Stephon Castle, 16.5 points, I lean as under. That's too high for him. Too high, too high, too high. That's too high. Too high. That's all. Just looking off that first glance, I know last couple games, been having some solid games, 26, 23 points in the last last two. I do not trust that, man. That's too high of a line. He has not had a high point line like that all year. And I know the Grizzlies defense, they play fast, or that Grizzlies team, they play fast. Sometimes their defense will slack a little bit. And on the road, their defense isn't as good as it is in Memphis. But still, that line seems high. I would rather have Chris Paul over points today. I'd rather have Victor Wembanyama over 24.5 points today. That's where I'm at with it, man, for that Spurs team. Looking at some Grizzlies players, we did just in that game a night ago, or 2 nights ago, John Morant, we did take his over assists. If you want to take it again, I would almost rather have it at 7.5 at plus odds instead of taking it at 6.5 and having to lay minus 140, minus 150 juice. I'd rather almost take it at 7.5. He had 20 assist chances in that last game versus the Spurs, so if you like it, run it back, man. Another guy to point out, assist chances, Desmond Bane did have, don't quote me, 11 plus. It was like 11, 12, or 13 assist chances versus the Spurs when they just faced. Today his assist line's at 4.5. If he's getting 12 assist chances again, I do lean that over. I do lean his over 4.5 assists. But honestly, man, I think Wemby has a game. I said this last time out. Wemby, if you have been looking at home, he's been dropping 20, 25 points a lot of home games. Just played the Grizzlies, shot poorly, only scored 13. I think he bounces back, man. He shot 5 for 19. Did not get to the free throw line once. Shot 5 for 19, 3 for 10 from 3. I think Wemby bounces back, man. So I like Wemby there, probably the most there. I think Wemby's floor today is 20 points. I think his floor today is 20 points. So if you like Wemby 20 points and another guy from another game for 20 points, trying to get it around even odds, I don't mind that. Like, I think Wemby for 20 points is a solid parlay piece. I think that is his floor today. I think he definitely bounces back and has a good game. In that game, besides for those player prop leans, guys, I pointed out, I do kind of lean the Spurs again. If you looked at that game, Spurs only lost by 14. Now, that's a good amount. I'm not going to sit and say that's not a kind of a blowout, mini blowout, but Wemby shot terrible. In that game, the Spurs were up going into halftime, and Wemby was having probably one of his worst games all year shooting-wise. If Wemby has a typical Wemby game, 25, 30 points, I lean the Spurs, man. I lean the Spurs again. So lean the Spurs and lean Wemby over and some of those other guys' props. If you're liking them today, run it back on them. Last game on the board, and a game that I don't love because you've probably heard me say about this Lakers team, but it is the Brooklyn Nets at the Los Angeles Lakers. I've been pretty spot on with this Nets injury report as of late. Last game, what did I said D'Angelo Russell and them probably not going to play. They get ruled out right before game time. Today, doesn't look like D'Angelo Russell's on an injury report, but still some injuries in that game. Cam Johnson looks like he might be questionable. A lot of Lakers guys looks like they're going to probably be questionable here. I see Anthony Davis, all those guys on the injury report. And if I'm not mistaken, all those guys are going to be probably probable. All those guys are probably going to be probable. AD probable. LeBron looks like he's game time decision, but he's listed as probable as well. So those guys going to go. Those guys haven't been missing a lot of games this year, to be honest with you. Now, Nets just did get blown out by like 60 points against the Clippers. This is a game I'm just staying away from, man. Could the Lakers go out there and blow out the Nets by 30, 40 points? Possibly. That last game against the Clippers that the Nets just had, now they literally had they had nobody. Zaire Williams, Noah Clowney, Keon Johnson, Tyrese Martin, Nick Claxton, that was their starting lineup. That looks like the Los Angeles Lakers starting lineup when Jordan Farmar, and I know you guys have all seen that meme where it's literally nobody on that Lakers team, like from years back, with Luke Walton, Jordan Farmar, all those guys in the starting lineup. Like, that's how that Nets starting lineup's looking right now. Now, D'Angelo Russell does look like he goes. Cam Johnson may go. I don't trust the Lakers. I always say that. This Nets team right now is just, they are awful. Awful, awful. Lakers, it's a stay away. I mean, I don't even want to give you a lean. I don't even want to tell you to take the Lakers. Because Lakers really this year, if you are looking at a lot of their wins, 95% of their wins, they're not beating teams by 10 plus points. They're just not. Now, could they beat the Nets here? 100%, man. But a game I am staying away from comfortably. If you're asking me, my two least favorite games are probably the Thunder Mavs, just because of the reasons I pointed out earlier, and the Nets Lakers. Every other game, there's some decent props or some sides I like. You know what I'm saying? So rock with them. If you guys are trusting the stats, ride with me. If you're not trusting the stats, throw them straight in the garbage. 9-game NBA slate. Drop a like if you're tailing any of these picks. If you like any of the leans, drop your favorite play in the comments. If there's a play that you absolutely love today, or say you absolutely love the Hornets today versus the Bulls, let me know in the comments, man, because I love getting active with you guys down there, showing some support, seeing what you guys love. So pop in or pop down in the comment section, hit that big red button, drop a like, man. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys back here for tomorrow. Had that sweep yesterday. Let's sweep again today, and you already know. Let's go.